Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, we're gonna expand your vocabulary with some words that maybe you never use. You know, sometimes you fall out of use of words that you really liked at one point. You need to be reminded of them. Sometimes you need to be schooled on an entirely new word that needs to become a part of your vocabulary toolbox.
Sometimes you forget whether prohibited means you can do it or you can't do it.
Right. Yeah. That's a quote. So we ask you to tell us what are your favorite words? A word that you just find yourself going back to. Maybe it makes you smile. Maybe it's just perfect for something that you find yourself needing to use it for a lot. So I'm pretty hopeful about this because I do have a strong belief.
You think you're gonna find some new words? Is that what you're hopeful about?
I have a strong belief in a vocabulary toolbox. You get yourself in these kind of ruts to the things you say. And you pick up and you throw down what the people around you are saying. And sometimes it's good to just mix it up a little bit.
And have you noticed that it has become harder to retain new words? Like it's harder to expand your vocabulary, because I have noticed that.
With age or with, you think we're degrading?
Well, I mean, if we're normal folk, yeah, we are degrading. I mean, mid-40s. I'm just saying I'm not saying that I am necessarily noticing that I'm forgetting words. What I am noticing is that I'd be like, dadgummit, what does that word mean? I had this exact same scenario 3 months ago when I came across this word, and I specifically remember taking the word, looking at the definition,
and moving it,
thinking about it,
into a new space in your brain.
And now I'm back here again, and I can't access it. And I guarantee you when I was 35, that would not have been the case.
Well, you know what? Don't be too hard on yourself. You're not 35 and you never will be again.
Right.
So you just gotta do the best you can. And you know what? 47 exposures to a word is what it's gonna take for you to
maybe it's one for every year of your age.
Okay, 45.
So 45.
Yeah.
Before we get into that discussion, I gotta tell you about something that I got to do that originally I was supposed to do with you and your wife, but scheduling conflicts, your wife had family members that just decided to up and die, and that created travel situations that then you had to make up for. So you were out of town. Yeah,
Christian and I had a romantic weekend away, but I had to cancel our attendance at the Willie Nelson 90th birthday party 2-night extravaganza at the Hollywood Bowl. I was pretty bummed about that, man.
Well, I'm about to make it even worse.
Oh yeah? It was awesome. Christian and I had a great time, don't get me wrong. I know I made the right decision, no matter what you tell me, but you can try your best.
I told Jessie, both night one and night two, as I turned to her multiple times and said things like, I'm having such a good time.
Oh.
And also, I think this is the best concert I've ever been to.
Oh, wow.
Because I kept thinking to myself, this is so unusual that you would see this many people that you're into. And again,
they didn't release the lineup when we bought the tickets.
They released a fair amount of people. Now, as I go through this list, you may care, you Link, you listener may not care about any of these people, but just imagine a bunch of people that you do care about and that you love their music and they're all together in a way that just doesn't happen. I guess this is a festival experience, but not, but sitting in one seat for 4 hours each night, which sounds like a long time. I did take a bathroom break. And basically having a seamless, one person plays and then there's like a minute of downtime and then the next person plays and then a minute of downtime, and then another person plays, and like they played like one song, maybe two songs if they're like a person that we think we should give 2 songs to.
Yeah.
That was the experience. And I'm not gonna name everyone, but I'm just gonna name some people that, you know, it got started kind of slow, right? Like they did give Charlie Crockett the second spot on night one. He sang The Party's Over. Lyle Lovett.
Oh, really?
Got up there, sang Hello Walls. Beck.
Hello Walls.
Got up there and sang Hands on the Wheel.
Got up there and sang. You just see him getting up. Was there a ladder?
Yeah, it was quite a ladder.
They crawled from. Were they all using the same backing band?
Yes.
Okay.
Occasionally they would bring somebody else out if the person is known for the band that they have,
Okay.
which I'll explain in a second. But yeah, like drummer,
Gotcha.
keyboardist, and it was quite a band. And there was a musical director that they kept shouting out. I can't remember his name because I'm 45. Beck, hands on the wheel. Nora Jones.
Yeah.
And she got up there and she played, there's that famous, I think it's called Down Yonder. It's the famous just a piano song that sounds like an old-timey piano song, and she played it. It's just, it's one of those things like, where can you see Nora Jones
that's cool.
play that song?
That's on Redheaded Stranger.
I'm skipping over people, by the way. Then Roseanne Cash, daughter of Johnny Cash, gets up there with Chris Christopherson.
Legend.
Who is 86, but still able to get up there and sing.
Last time we saw him he co-headlined with Merle.
It helps when you've always sounded like an old man when you sing, to then be the old man that you've always sounded like.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Of course, Willie has two sons, Lucas and Micah. Lucas Nelson has a band, Promise of the Real, and Micah Nelson is known as Particle Kid.
Is he now?
And it's funny because they are both from Willie's fourth and final marriage that he is currently still in. They've been together for like 30 years. And so these guys are early 30s.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how Lucas, they're brothers, obviously, who grew up in the same place. I think they actually grew up on Maui because Willie had a place in Maui. That was brought up multiple times, which I'll talk about in a second. And they just took different paths. Yes, they're both musicians, but one of them is like a country musician that sounds like Willie.
Yeah, like Willie 2.0.
And then the other is Particle Kid, who's doing his own thing, right? Now, he's obviously singing Willie songs when he's there, but I just found that interesting to be, okay, I'm gonna take this thing and I'm gonna completely embrace it, or I'm gonna take this thing and I'm gonna go my own way.
What kind of music is Particle Kid?
I don't know, because he only played Willie songs.
Okay.
But he doesn't have a Southern accent at all, whereas Lucas does.
Uh-huh.
Grew up in the same place.
Okay.
Just a fascinating study of people. But Lucas does a solo version of Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground.
Great song.
That is, first of all, at this point, it's better than what Willie can do because Willie's 90.
Such a good song.
But what he's doing with the guitar, and he's basically doing what his dad has always done, very specific Willie Nelson style of guitar playing, but he's taking it up a notch, and he's a 30-something-year-old dude doing it. It was spiritual. That song was the first one I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. Then
if you would not have fallen, I would not have found you.
And then Leon Bridges and Gary Clark Jr. got up there together.
Really?
And performed.
That's cool.
And then Gary Clark Jr. stayed up there by himself and did this incredible blues thing with these ridiculous solos. Then Jack Johnson got up and sang a song that he obviously just—
Please say not banana pancakes.
Just wrote for this situation.
Don't want to hear that again.
He said, I've got a story about a time in Maui, because Jack's from Hawaii, that Willie invited me over, and he basically said that Willie has a tendency to get a bunch of people together, tell them to go to an ATM and get as much money as they possibly can, to come back to his house and play poker. But before they play poker, he gets them so stoned.
Takes all their money?
Yeah, I think the way that Jack said it was, he said, I think he's the one that told this story, but he said that they started smoking like Willie's weed, and they smoke, and he's like, just when I thought I couldn't smoke anymore, I realized we were just getting started. And then another amount of undisclosed and also unperceived time passed. And then Willie looks around, he's like, is everybody high? And then they play poker. And so he wrote a song called Willie Got Me Stoned and Took All of My Money, and he sang it, which was just a wonderful moment.
That's cool. That's cool.
Then Tyler Childers got up there and sang two songs. This is a two-song situation, Healing Hands of Time and Time of the Preacher. Also, he had on a beanie, and I don't know if you've ever seen Tyler sing live, but he has such an intense look, like he looks like this the whole time.
Yeah.
And he was singing.
Doesn't make me comfortable.
And there was a woman behind us, and she was like, creepy. But he was great.
He wails.
He's very intense. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving. Ziggy Marley.
Okay.
Tom Jones. When are you gonna?
Doing it.
And Tom Jones, who is in his 80s, killing it. The voice is incredible.
Sounds amazing.
And like he had on this incredible outfit. When am I gonna see Tom Jones perform? I'm not. That was it.
What does he sing? He sings
Lots of famous songs from the 60s and 70s. Very Neil Diamond-y, but incredible. Jamie Johnson, who has one of the best country voices and also the longest hair and beard of any country artist currently playing. He also holds his guitar very, very low.
He does.
He sang Live Forever. Bob Weir.
You wrote down all of this? You're keeping notes for me?
No, I copied it from Rolling Stone. Oh. Bob Weir sang Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. His guitar wasn't really working that well, though. It was a little bit sad for him, but he did get to come back the next night. The Chicks.
Formerly known as the Dixie Chicks.
Came out and killed it. The Lumineers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Lumineers, but it's just to show you the influence. And by the way, all these bands were being introduced by celebrities, including Ethan Hawke, Chelsea Handler, Jennifer Garner, Woody Harrelson,
Rhett McLaughlin,
Owen Wilson, and some other people.
Hadn't seen Willie at all, though, have you? At this point,
not yet. No. Sturgill Simpson came out and played "I'd Have to Be Crazy," and it was.
I love that song.
And he gave a speech.
That's one of my favorites.
He gave a speech about how Willie Nelson was so inspirational to him and how he went to Nashville to make country records that defied what a country record was because of Willie Nelson. And it was just, I don't know, you don't see Sturgill talk a lot. He doesn't seem like he likes to talk, and he also doesn't seem like he even really likes to make music much anymore. But boy, it was, I mean, he does, but he's just, he said he retired or whatever. But it was incredible. Miranda Lambert, we're not gonna see her. Chris Stapleton.
Always great.
Who is the most talented country artist alive. And not necessarily my favorite, but the most talented voice.
Yeah.
And he sang The Last Thing I Needed and Always on My Mind. He sang Always on My Mind. And it was like,
somebody else wanted it and they were like, no, we got to give that to Chris Stapleton.
I can't tell you how good that was, but I am telling you. Then.
I bet it was good.
Neil Young and Stephen Stills from Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Oh, wow.
Got up there.
Together.
With Lucas Nelson's band, Promise of the Real, and they sang Long May You Run In For What It's Worth. And now, these are old guys. You're kind of like trying to see through into the nostalgia because not sounding great at this point, I'll just say that. But it was, it's them. And then finally, Willie comes out with Lucas and Micah and Neil Young.
Did he blow out candles?
So here's how they did that. At the very end, he sang Happy Birthday to Me.
He did?
Yeah. I mean, he's such a badass. 90 years old. As we watched him play.
Complete with a solo?
So he played, okay, I'm not done with night one, just so you, because I'm about to make you, I was going to say make you wet.
In the eyes?
In the proverbial sense, okay?
Okay.
George Strait.
Wow.
Came out.
What?
And they had written a song. George Strait, or whoever writes songs for George Strait, had written a song, and I don't know if this is a song that's ever been released. It's about his desire to sing a song with Willie Nelson, and he sang it with Willie Nelson. And it's like, maybe this is a song that's out there, but it sounded like, I wanted to believe that they had just written it for this moment, and that's probably not true, but that's my story. And it was basically how George Strait had never had sung a song with Willie Nelson and how his career wasn't complete.
Wow.
And then Willie Nelson has a verse where he talks about, I finally got to sing one with Strait. And then together they stayed up there and sang Poncho and Lefty.
No.
So we got George Strait singing Merle's part to Poncho and Lefty. And he actually sang a little bit more because Merle waits so long to come in, they gave George the second verse.
Yeah.
Then Snoop Dogg comes out.
What?
Snoop Dogg comes out and plays the song Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die, which is the song they wrote together.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just, to see Snoop Dogg out there with Willie Nelson in a country band, and he's just so
surreal.
infectious and the things that he says, and And then it ended with Willie doing On the Road Again. And then everyone who had been out there came out and they all sung Let the Circle Be Unbroken, I'll Fly Away, and then Happy Birthday. And then he decided to sing It's Hard to Be Humble, which is that it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. After he sang Happy Birthday to himself.
Yeah.
And so
that was just night one?
That was night one, and I was like, I don't understand how I'm getting to experience this.
Hey.
And I didn't have great seats, as you know, because we just got what we could, but it didn't really matter. It would have been, to be close to this would have been freaking crazy, but just to be there, because how often do you have somebody, speaking of getting old, that is a 90-year-old who can perform on that level? Now, let me just be honest with you. Willie was always, in similar ways to Chris Christopherson, always sounded and looked old even before he was. Mm-hmm. And he does that thing that all old country singers do where they get ahead of the beat on purpose. And he's done it where he's 2, 3, 4 beats ahead of the music on almost every song. And Jesse was like, why is he doing that? I was like, because this is what they do. And then they kind of forget that that's what they're doing. Merle did it.
Yeah.
So there was that, but still. Okay, night 2.
It's better to be ahead than behind, I guess.
Billy Strings, which I had never heard of. He opened up both nights, by the way. He was really good. I listened to his music and it's more bluegrass, but Billy Strings was a crowd favorite. Like people were, Billy Strings, people going crazy for Billy Strings.
Okay.
Orville Peck comes out and sings a song. This is night 2, by the way. Cowboys are frequently secretly fond of each other, which is a song about gay cowboys that Willie actually sang in 2006.
Cowboys are actually secretly fond of each other?
Willie's always been so, I just love it. He's like Dolly in that he's always been progressive in his ideology.
Yeah.
And his ideals, and he doesn't do the whole God, guns, and country thing that country gets caught up in, so the backwards way of thinking about things. But still appealing to the God, guns, and country people in a way that brings people together that's really attractive. Charlie got up there again. Dwight Yoakam got up there the second night.
I'm glad to hear it.
Some repeats, but people singing different things. Jack Johnson got up and sang the same song again, and people started talking, which is just a little lesson that like most people were there for 2 nights, and he did the same thing. Then our friend Shooter Jennings, son of Waylon Jennings, got up there with Lucas and sang Good Hearted Woman.
Nice.
Then one of my favorite bands of all time, the Avett Brothers, North Carolina boys, got up there, sang 2 songs. They brought the whole band. Chris Christopherson then got up with Norah Jones.
Interesting.
Then Sheryl Crow.
Yep.
Sang Crazy. I think she made some connection to why.
Willie wrote that for Patsy Cline.
He wrote it for her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that is what she said. Dave Matthews. I'm not gonna go to a Dave Matthews concert because I don't want.
Did he do a weird dance?
I don't want 90 minutes to 2 hours of Dave Matthews, but one song of Dave Matthews singing Funny How Time Slips Away and doing it in the Dave Matthews style. Mm-hmm. It was the kind of thing that all the women, including my wife, not necessarily, it's not that they're necessarily attracted to Dave Matthews sexually. I think some of them are, but something about the way he sings.
Show your world to me.
Like Jessie leans over and she says, "We should see him in concert." Like, it's like, it worked.
Well.
And I was like, well.
You see footage of him in concert on TikTok, and he's wild and unpredictable.
Emmylou Lou Harris. And then Lucas, Micah, Roseanne, and Shooter all got up and sang the Highwaymen song, basically the classic song.
Yeah.
Together. So all the kids of the kids, of the people. Then, surprise, Keith Richards.
What?
Keith Richards shows up.
Did he talk?
Yes, he did. He talked for a while, actually.
He's great.
He and Willie together did We Had It All and then Live Forever. And then again, they did the whole Will the Circle Be Unbroken, I'll Fly Away, and then Happy Birthday to Me again.
Keith freaking Richards,
end.
man.
And I just got to say, I know if you don't care about that was, you probably already fast forward and you were like, give me the time code of when they stopped talking about the Willie Nelson concert.
Well, thanks for giving me that.
But this is for my best friend here who wishes he was there.
Can't do it all, but man, that would have been nice.
It's the best concert I've ever been to, all things considered. That there was that many things that I was into, and it's very different than just a band getting up there and just doing, and I'm like, well, I'm just not gonna see that again.
If you could only describe it using one word, and this is a transition into our actual topic for today. What word would you choose?
Wet.
Sounds kind of epic. Sounds sprawling. It sounds
Monumental.
monumental.
Memorable. Meaningful. Fabulous.
Okay. Hopefully these people have given us some better words than those that we can start using next time.
Before we get into our words, we do want to draw your attention to our Always Proud collection. We are very proud mythical beasts here at Mythical Entertainment, and we know we have a lot of proud mythical beasts in the mythical beastdom. And we've got an Always Proud collection that we're constantly adding to. So there's year-round stuff, and then there's stuff that we just bring back for essentially Pride Month every year. So go to mythical.com, check out the Pride collection. A portion of the proceeds goes to Outright Action International.
Zip hoodie, embroidered hat, flags, we got it. Take a look, mythical.com.
I love the design. I love the way the Mythical logo, the M, translates into so many amazing designs, including a rainbow design.
It's wonderful.
I love that. And also the design of the new, like the seasonal shirt, the Always Proud shirt, whatever it says. My favorite so far.
We're pumping out cool designs. Ear Biscuits is brought to you by BetterHelp.
If you're anything like me, you spend a fair amount of energy trying to, let's say, live up to the expectations that you think that people have of you. You know, living a life that's focused on appearing a certain way externally, and sometimes you can end up neglecting your inner life and yourself. And that's actually something that therapy has really helped me with.
And even though we're performers, you don't have to be a performer to feel like you're performing for people. Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in what everyone else needs from you, but what about what you need from you?
Right, that's where therapy's so useful. It can really be that time you work on just yourself with no interference from others, and that's why we like BetterHelp.
Yeah, I'm fans of BetterHelp because it makes therapy more accessible to more people, and maybe that includes you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, so you can take your appointments from anywhere on your own schedule.
Just fill out a questionnaire and BetterHelp will match you with a therapist that meets your needs, and you can change therapists at any time with no extra cost.
Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/ear today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ear.
All right, thank you for responding. We had a lot of responses to people's favorite word. Let's go through some categories. These are ones people just kind of thought were nice. You know, let's start with some nicety.
Hi, Link, Rhett. My name is Amanda, longtime watcher, first time caller. I am responding to the tweet asking to know about our favorite word.
Yes.
And for me, that word would be huzzah. I don't have a story behind it. It's a word I've enjoyed using since I was little, and maybe it's outdated. I just think it adds a fun, dramatic flair to whatever the circumstances, to be happy or to want to show something off and want to exclaim, and you just huzzah. It's fun, and it tickles me, and it makes me smile. So it's my favorite word to use. Highly recommend it. I would give it a try. Super fun. That's it. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Huzzah! I mean, a word is great when it puts a smile on your face. Huzzah! And sometimes the way that your mouth opens at the end of huzzah, it's kind of like it's the biggest smile you can give. All you got is huzzah! And you just hold it for a second and you're freaking smiling. I love that.
Is it Yiddish?
I don't know.
It sounds Yiddish.
It could be.
Huzzah!
And
it feels like
as she pointed out, it could be a celebration. It could be a reveal. Like, hey, I'm gonna reveal this and you're gonna celebrate. Or you just revealed it to me and I'm gonna celebrate. Huzzah!
I'm thinking about
If somebody says
the
something.
use case for this for me personally. I definitely could see you incorporating this into your vocabulary.
It's a combination of surprise and exclamation. That's a good place to be in. Surprised and happy. You don't think you could?
No, I think that.
I think you could say it in a serious way.
No, I think.
Huzzah.
Yeah, I think. I think that I would do it in an ironic way, like if I did something that was embarrassing.
Oh.
And then I was like, huzzah. You know what I'm saying?
That'll work.
I could get a laugh that way out of it. That's how I would employ it.
It's a good recovery. I like that. Let's see what this one holds.
Hello, big fellas. I just wanted to let you know that, my favorite word is finagle. You can just use it in a lot of situations. You can finagle a situation. You can finagle a tool. You can even finagle your lady if you know what you're doing right. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's interesting because I like this word choice.
I would have said finagle.
But we say finagle. We don't even say finagle.
Well, hold on. Okay. I was hoping for this moment to happen at some point.
What in the world?
But I'm interested. It didn't necessarily have to be the second word. So what is the official pronunciation, Jamie, of finagle?
Well, I got it right here. Oh, you got it. Finagle.
You
see,
can also do that too. Like this, this works.
Been saying it wrong.
Finagle.
Because nag, when you put a nag in it, that makes me not like it. But when you put a nag in it, finagle.
So this guy's got a favorite word and he's been saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about how his world's about to be updated.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, man.
Hate to finagle with your world, but
you said
huzzah!
You said it. You said it wrong. Yeah.
But
to obtain by devious or dishonest means. I didn't know that. I thought it just meant to like manipulate something to get what you want. It doesn't have to be devious or dishonest. I think that's too negative. But that's the definition. Huh. Maybe that's the definition of finagle.
I think that you're illustrating two things that I wanted to have a more in-depth discussion about.
Okay, let's go.
And it will probably come into play as we go through this. I used to be as many people are, a guy who I felt as if there was a literal like right and wrong as it relates to language, right? I would say that is the right pronunciation, that is the wrong pronunciation, that is the, you're saying that, you're using that wrong. And while I think that there is some value in there being like an agreed upon, like, yes, this is it, it actually kind of is denying what language is to begin with, right?
Okay, so it's expression.
So language,
so why not just express yourself?
Language is symbolic. Language represents some reality. In many senses, it represents a conception that people, or concept that people have agreed upon. But just like that TikTok I was telling you about where the guy was saying a phrase and then he was taking it back 100 years at a time or 500 years at a time, and he kept going and going and going back, and it changed and it became indecipherable after like 1,000 years. To me, language is just a way for two people or multiple people to communicate and have some way of relating to each other. But this whole idea of proper English is something that we grew up in a place where proper English was so important. And I think it got really, really into our brains, right? So just to have a discussion about.
I think you think that's because we have a chip on our shoulder because we come from like the rural South, and like there's a lot of really thick accents.
But I'm talking about the way we learned it in middle school, where me and you can diagram a sentence into the ground, right? We understand grammar, punctuation in a way that like
it's a lost art.
Our kids don't. And I used to have a problem with that. But even something as specific as the way that you say the word ask, right? And so it's common, some people might call it ebonics, for people to say ax instead of ask. And I read it, and I grew up thinking that, yeah, ax is incorrect, right? Then I read an article about what language actually is. And again, some people might say, yeah, but it's ASK, it's not AKS, it's actually spelled differently. But the moment you begin to say things like, but this is how it's spelled, you've gone off the deep end, because look at the fucking English language.
Right.
And we do not say things how they're spelled. We say things how groups of people have agreed to say them. So actually, one of the things that I've been coming to grips with is that a lot of those ideas that I had about what proper English, again, it just comes back to it's rooted in a racist mindset. And because if this is how this community says this, then that's what that word means. It's not math, it's language. It isn't a 1-to-1 ratio to a material reality. It's a translation of a concept as it makes sense to two people who have a subjective reality. And it really starts to open things up, and I think it makes us have a softer sort of, first of all, I think it makes us more adaptable, because we're in the midst, I used to get on that home and hone in train, because I would say it's technically home in because it's a homing pigeon, right? You're homing in on something, you're circling it, and you're getting closer and closer to it. But it's actually more common for people to say hone in. Hone is when you like sharpen something, right? Yeah. And you can technically make a conceptual leap to those things. I used to care about that, and then I was like, do I understand what the person is trying to say? Do I understand that they're trying to put a finer point on something or to make this thing more central? Yes, and it's like, if I understand it, we're good to go. We're not saying that 2 + 2 = 5. No, 2 + 2 is always gonna equal 4, but math is just very different than language. So
I like that you've done this.
So to bring it back to Mr. Finagle, what I'm saying is that if finagle is his favorite word, I don't care what dictionary.com says.
Oh. I just want.
Am I wrong?
But he needs to know, if he's the only one that's saying it that way, then I just want him to make an informed decision.
It will, it will cause you to be judged by people who subscribe to the view that there is such a thing as proper English, right?
But I would reserve, I would hold back on correcting him. Because who am I to do that?
But we already did it. We already corrected it.
To his face. I mean,
He's probably watching the screen.
I'll do it through the internet.
Or hearing it.
But I'm not, if it was just in conversation. Man, I remember when I was a kid, I said that I was in a group of people, and there was like, that there was one dad, and I was talking about how I was really frustrated. And he was like, well, that's frustrated. And I was really embarrassed in front of everybody for saying something. Oh, it's like, I must be the stupid one. It's like, no, you didn't have to say that in front of everybody. I should have said, did you catch my meaning? Then let go of the correction.
Hey, there's two sides to
Finagle.
it.
I can finagle my way out of it now, but I couldn't finagle my way out of it.
I can argue the other side as well, because we do use language to give directions, to describe processes that
but then it's not a correction. It's more of like, no, let me clarify that I know what you're meaning.
Right, I'm kind of talking about everyday communication between people, and it's just like, really, come on, get the stick out of your ass. You can finagle,
it's hard it's just really hard to do it in a way that's not condescending if you're gonna correct somebody. What is this one?
Hi, my name's Kai, and my favorite word is echolalia. It just means like meaningless repetition of words spoken by another person. And the first time I heard it, all I could say was echolalia, echolalia, echolalia. Thanks for opening this up, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.
Echolalia.
Finagle.
A meaningless repetition of words. Echolalia.
Is this someone who's in?
How could you say that in a positive way?
Is this like a catatonic? What a catatonic would like? What I'm trying to. Is this just somebody who's stuck on a word?
Meaningless repetition of words just spoken by another person.
Oh, yes, occurring as a symptom of a mental condition.
Or it's repetition of speech by a child learning to talk. The echolalia is really getting on my nerves. Or, I don't know. I like the sound of the word, but for it to be one of my favorites, it also has to have a nice context. And I feel like this one is like, this is meaningless repetition. I'm bored. I'm not connecting.
What about someone who has
It's not what I'm looking for.
And I know what we do, and we've been completely exposed by recording ourselves and putting on the internet for years.
Yeah.
We all have go-to words, things that we say. We may have gotten to a place where we don't say and as much as we may have once done.
Mm-hmm.
But I know for a fact that there are phrases.
You say golly a lot.
More than that, I think I say
golly.
I think I have a tendency when I'm about to say something to say, here's the thing, or let me tell you what I think about that. I think that is a symptom of being.
Let me tell you what
I think that's a symptom of being, there's two of us and wanting to let you know I've got something I want to say.
It's a vocabulary wedge.
Yeah, it's
a conversational wedge.
Yeah, and as opposed to interrupting, it's just like, well, let me tell you what I think about that.
A lot of times we will do something in group conversations where neither one of us is talking, but we're both candidates to be the one to talk next or respond. And we will do this thing that's like, we'll give an a lot of times in unison.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like raising your hand, or on like in a classroom, or in your video chat, if you have the raise the hand feature there. That's like the auditory version of that. I have something to say.
There should be a word for that concept.
Yo.
The conversational wedge.
Yeah.
What is the conversational wedge?
Me speak now? Me? Just for shortening to me?
No, I'm not saying it's something you say in the moment. I'm saying it's a way to describe the concept.
Oh, you're coming up with a word for the
and it would be
vocabulary wedge.
Echo. It would if
it doesn't repeat.
Well, echo. I think echo is the. Well, no, I guess you're right. But what's the word for word? Logo.
Vocabulization. It's a vocabularizationer.
Ooh,
it's a word that means nothing, but it draws attention to yourself so you can say things that mean something. It's a vocabulary positioner.
That seems like framing something. I like it, but can you make it make more sense with being the next person to talk? So it's almost like
what about ding ding?
A vocal prioritization. There's people that sit.
Ding.
They used to sit around and make up words.
Like a ding dong. Like it could be ding dong. You did a ding dong. It's like ringing the doorbell on entering the conversation.
Speech dong.
Yeah, it's a speech dong. We found it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Word dong. Conversational dong.
Let's move into some challenging words.
Okay. Hello, my name is Mick. My favorite word is, well, I don't know about favorite, but it's Worcestershire. Worcestershire sauce. Okay. Worcestershire sauce.
I like the bit, Nick.
Worcestershire sauce. It's the unpronounceable sauce. What he calls it Worcestershire because there is a chest in it.
I think that was part of the bit.
Yeah, but it's Worcestershire. Worcestershire.
I just say Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire?
Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire?
Worcestershire sauce.
What?
It's Worcestershire sauce.
It does sound like a question.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce. Could you imagine?
Worcestershire. I say I hit the shire hard.
Being someone who is speaking English as a second language, especially if you speak a language that has no relationship to English, and hearing that and feeling like you could have hope that you could learn this language.
I have no need to know this word because I have no use for the sauce in my life. Like, where do you want to use a Worcestershire sauce?
When was the last time you tasted a little bit?
Well, it's pungent, and is it supposed to go on steaks?
Not unless you have a horrible steak.
Exactly.
It is a great ingredient in things. A few drops.
Oh, really?
Gives this I guess umami
like
is the
bitter-
best. It's not bitter. I mean, I don't know it's basically like Western Hemisphere umami is the best way for me to describe it. And
Western Mommy.
yeah, Western mommy sauce.
I mean, that's a funner name.
It'd be easier to say, Western mommy sauce. I love it.
Western Mommy.
But it's got to go in something. If you're making a sauce, you're gonna want to, depending on what the application is, you're gonna want a couple of drops. I think you've been sleeping on
A couple of drops?
Well,
I think the problem is around the Neal household growing up, whenever they would cook steaks,
they'd put it straight on there.
It would be like a big pool of it. There'd be A1 and Worcestershire, and you would choose between the two, and what do you want to be your steak sauce? And either one is a bad idea.
They're similar. They're coming from similar directions. I think A1 is basically Worcestershire sauce with a little like
ketchup or something.
A different consistency. But you can take it and you can put it, I mean, I don't necessarily recommend this, but you can put it in your burger meat before.
And that does a good
you
thing?
Cook it. It depends, man. It's been years since I did that, but I did that for a while. I would put like Ritz crackers and Worcestershire sauce in my burgers.
Well, then you're making a meatloaf, homie.
Yeah, but you don't tell people that. But you're like, wow, this burger is interesting and really, really tasty.
And ritzy.
Flavorful.
You got crackers in it.
Yeah. I mean, try it. But now I'm definitely on team just meat with salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Smash burger type thing. But I'm saying back when I did
But you have Worcestershire
burger,
in your house for cooking.
We're not great at keeping up with things, but from time to time, yes.
There's a whole category of tweets we got that are like simpler words that are people's favorite. This one I'd never heard of. Sarah tweeted rig. Now I know what a rig to me is an 18-wheeler, you know, or it could be something that
setup.
A setup for like
a camera,
fishing, or a rig. Yeah.
Any utility you're doing.
Yeah. What's your camera rig?
Yeah.
What are all the accoutrements around it? But rig to Sarah is a local term for someone who has a lot of personality. It can be used positively, like, what a rig, or negatively, he is a real rig. Difficult for come from a ways to understand. What? Now I don't understand.
People out of towners.
Oh, to understand because the tone is determined solely by inflection.
Well, when Sarah says local, where is Sarah local to? Do we
did not say.
See that on the Twitter
profile?
To
the Twitter profile. I don't know. You can do a little.
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Cape Breton.
Nova Scotia. Okay, that's a good piece of information. I like this one. This is the one that I can see becoming a part of my life because I like to think about what I think of people and like just put them in a place in my brain where I feel like I can understand and then connect. So it's not about judgment. Maybe sometimes it is. But I like to feel like I can wrap my mind around somebody and having a new word to say, well, that guy is a rig. I mean, he comes with it's like
this is. I mean,
he comes with a total package.
This is risky for you to adopt in a place where that's not Nova Scotia, because now you're using a word that no one around here in your life understands, and also even within the local context, it means either something good or something bad. As your language advisor in this situation, I would say I would advise against incorporating this into your vocabulary.
But I like the total package of it. Like, this person is the type of person that comes with accoutrements, you know?
Okay, see, now you put your own meaning on it. You're trying to relate it to how you understand the word.
That is how I understand it. I'm bringing it to LA in that way.
Well, this is the thing.
I myself am a rig.
If you can
I would like to
convince
think.
enough people.
Right. Clearly not you.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough if you can't convince me. But if you can convince enough people, you can make a word have meaning. That's the wonderful thing about meaning.
It's made.
You make it.
It's what you make it.
It's what you make it.
It's what you make. So you don't like rig. I like rig. I'm keeping it. It's mine. You'll come around to it.
To me, it has physical connotations.
Oh, really?
I could see a man saying about a woman, "What a rig," and at that point,
Yeah,
it
that's a
feels objectifying because it's like something that they would have said in the Commodore song, "The Brick House."
Yeah.
She's a rig. You know.
Yep.
Look at the 18 wheels.
Yeah. She's
Let me latch on to that.
pulling a bunch of weight behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's not
So
what I
think-
mean by
I'm
it.
just saying, again, more points in the favor of not adopting this into your vocabulary.
What about Aaron V's favorite word tweeted at us? Loaf. I'm smirking even as I type it. It never ceases to make me smile or giggle for no reason. When I was going through a rough time, my coworkers covered my classroom with signs that just said loaf. They get me.
Okay, this
Loaf.
resonates.
You resonating with the loaf?
Loaf.
Loaf.
You cannot sound.
Loaf.
I just don't think you can sound sophisticated, or you know what I'm saying? Loaf. Like if a loaf of anything is immediately. It's just a loaf. There's no precision in it. It's just a loaf of
Yeah,
things.
it's just kind of like, it's
loaf
like
of
someone
bread.
got a handful of it and threw it down, and
Yeah.
then there it stayed.
And then if you call
that
somebody
form.
a loaf,
It's not,
you're loafing.
yeah, well.
You loaf.
I don't want to bring people into this, but I want to bring this into my life when it comes to other things like, man, look at that hillside. That's a loaf of a hillside. Isn't that beautifully
It feels a little
rounded?
It feels a little redundant.
Okay.
Are you saying like that hill looks like a loaf? 'Cause
Yeah.
That hill looks like a loaf of bread, but if you say that mountain is such a loaf, at that point you're kind of just saying that mountain is very mountainy.
Can it just be a catchphrase then? Like, I mean, Aaron says they don't know what the reason for it makes him smile, but I mean, just when in doubt, throw a loaf out. Loafing it up. No, yeah, because it can't be, if you use it in a verb form, it's not good. It definitely is about the shape. Like when you think of a loaf of bread, it's comforting and it's a little silly. It's a little silly. It's like
feels
looking at a
exposed.
turtle.
It feels exposed. It feels like a loaf is one of the
Box turtle.
least harmful things, right?
Yeah, it's innocuous.
I think the story of the Trojan horse, if it was the Trojan loaf, it would be even better because it's
It would've worked.
It's even more innocuous. I think
Oh, did it work?
I think it's fake, first of all, right?
Oh, really?
But I don't know. Is it like mythology? I'm not sure.
Is it mythology?
But I think
That's a loaf we'll have to slice into later.
it did work, but it won't ever work again because if you give somebody a giant wooden horse that could have people inside of it,
It probably does.
in there, it's from your enemy. But if you give
Burn
them
it.
a loaf, I mean, a loaf of
New
anything,
neighbors, give them a banana bread
a
loaf.
loaf of banana bread
Mhm.
sets the right tone. You can't hurt someone with a loaf. Like if I
Right.
was given the mission of taking somebody out with a loaf,
Yeah.
I could potentially make them stop breathing with it if I covered every orifice on their face.
But highly unlikely. It's not very loafable of a loaf.
You
to
can
do that.
still kind of breathe through a loaf.
You know what this makes me think of? I remember that guy our freshman year who we barely knew. I can't remember his name. He had like long squiggly hair and he was in a band. And we were like, well, who's your band sound like? And he was like, well, we're inspired by the Beatles, but also Archers of Loaf.
Archers of Loaf.
And apparently that was the name of a band that I never had listened to and did not when he mentioned them because I was like, you know what? I love that name so much. I don't want it to be ruined by actually hearing the music and it not being everything I would hope for. So I've never heard Archers of Loaf, but I love their name.
Yeah.
Because as you're saying, you know, who's gonna get, they're not trying to hurt anybody. Are they trying to help somebody? Is it like an what's it called in medieval times when you try to starve someone out of the castle? 45.
Again,
Tell me
I know the
tell me
word,
the word.
but can I find it in my brain
When
right
you're
now?
starving them out. You're younger than us, Jamie.
And I'm looking it up.
You're Googling it. See,
Well,
that's
this is
a generational
yeah,
difference.
we don't have to.
We knew things and we forgot them. You never knew them because you could Google them. Worcestershire.
What's the word?
When you starve people out in medieval times.
It just keeps coming up with
Oh, gosh.
American Blade Bannerlord.
Nope.
Which is not
No.
it. Siege?
Siege.
Siege.
It's a siege. That's what I'm talking about. There's different types of sieges, but like a medieval castle siege is when you keep anything from going in and out, and then they're like, oh, we give up because we're starving and we're thirsty. Except over here, there's a little secret archer of loaf who's a lifeline for this community.
Right. So he's a defender. I feel like if you carry a loaf of something,
Yeah.
you could get through several layers of security.
You talking about Frenchmen's?
I'm just saying, if no, a baguette is a different thing. Baguette is too long to be a loaf.
Yeah.
Because it's long, it's hard, it feels almost aggressive. It's way too phallic. But a loaf is
And
not
they'll
very
just
phallic.
carry them around without it wrapped in
There
anything.
there are some penises that have a significant amount of girth, so that
Wow.
they're maybe loaf-like, and there's nothing against that. I'm just saying, in general, what you conceive of a phallic thing is not very loaf-like. Like it is
Right.
it's rounded, it's soft. It looks like you could lay on it. If it got thrown at you, it would bounce off. It has no sharp edges. I think we may have found the least aggressive form
Of smuggler?
of object.
Oh.
A loaf
Yeah.
is significantly less aggressive than a blob, even.
Mm-hmm.
A blob of something, I don't know, that thing could...
Bob's hard to clean up.
Hard to clean up. A piece of it could come off and get on my shoe. Like, I don't what is
Right.
this blob? What's in that blob?
Right. How
But
many
what's-
pieces is it gonna be
But
in?
what's in that loaf?
Yeah.
No one's ever asking that. Can you
Right.
get a loaf into prison?
Yes, they will cut it.
Yeah, people probably tried this, right?
Yeah.
Putting-
But I think that's the classic thing. I think that,
Putting shanks in loaves.
yeah. I mean, a shankless loaf is the most innocuous thing, but a shanked loaf is quite the opposite.
I'm just saying, I think there's a metaphor here for if you're trying to present yourself in a non-aggressive way, bring a proverbial loaf. Present as a loaf.
What's a proverbial loaf?
I don't know.
You're talking like I thought you were saying like a physical loaf.
Maybe you bring your actual loaf.
Right, because what is a proverbial loaf?
Don't take wine to someone's house. Take a loaf of something.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be proverbial. Tab likes the word fella.
Oh, yeah.
Happy. What a nice fella. Angry. Now look here, fella.
Oh,
Fella.
fella.
Hey, fella. Hey, fella. I think that's a good, let me try this on for size. I'm in line for a food truck,
A loaf truck.
and there is a gap in the line because the person in front of me hasn't gone. It's not a big deal, but it could cause some trouble. I think calling that person a fella is the best.
Okay.
Hey, fella, can you move up?
Okay.
It doesn't work, does it? It's too much.
No, and the fact that you had to get all the
It's
way
very anti-loaf.
to that point
Yeah.
to recognize that this is not a great strategy.
But she said, "What a nice fella." Hey, nice fella.
I don't.
Close the gap.
I think it's like fellas. I think I definitely.
Group.
If you're
Okay,
talking to a
not
group,
singling. Yeah, if you can't single a person out with fella. You
Gather
can't.
around fellas.
That's what I just learned.
so you could say, "Hey, fellas, let's close the line." People would be like, "Oh, he's a nice fella."
If it was all guys in the line.
That it is a gendered term,
Yeah, it is.
which it makes it lowers its use case. But what do you do? Because it feels like that was an interesting scenario that you brought up. It feels like line gaps are kind of a thing for you.
It's a source of anxiety for a lot of people, including me. And you know what? Sometimes I'm guilty of creating the gap because if it's an enclosed line, like
At a Disney situation.
at a Disney situation, don't worry
We're
about
all gonna get there.
it. Don't worry about it. Acknowledge your anxiety and just keep it to yourself. But if this is an open airline, especially for like a food truck where there's you've got tangential entries happening at any moment, you gotta button it up, fellas.
And I imagine
gotta
this is
button it up.
pretty challenging for people in other cultures, other places that I've been in like Eastern Europe, and I'm pretty sure that I haven't been there, but in Asia it's this way too. Like lines are very, very tight. America's got sort of a loose line. Loose line. We don't really keep our lines very tight.
Ah,
And so I am sensitive to this. I actually experienced this exact concept. When's the last time you went to the Hollywood Bowl?
I can't remember. Within the last year though.
I don't know if it was the nature of this being a sold out event. I assume a lot of Hollywood Bowl events are sold out. And I don't know if it's
The
just
lines were crazy.
the Willie Nelson crowd, but I think it's the design of the Hollywood Bowl, which is a beautiful space, but they funnel everyone entering, in this case, 17,500 people, into 2 entrances.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned, first of all, take the mid gate, not the main gate.
Oh,
Mid
hot
gate,
tip.
very fast. Main gate, very
Second
slow.
tip, bring a loaf.
Bring a loaf. But Jesse and I got into a little bit of an argument because one night we were in the main gate line, which was a very, it was kind of a loaf of people. I mean,
There you go.
it's probably 50 people wide and several hundred deep,
It's not really lines.
ascending or descending upon 4 metal detectors.
That gets dicey.
And she was on her phone because she's wasting the time. She's passing the time, not wasting the time, passing the time on her phone. And so she was in front of me and she would let a gap form. And in this sort
Can't do it.
nebulous
Can't do it.
amoeba of a loaf of people, people, they're closing the gap sideways.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And so I said,
Hey fella.
let me get in front of you. I didn't call her fella, I just said, let me get in front of you.
So now you could leave her if she don't.
And she said, I gotta keep the gap. I gotta close the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sympathetic to this, for sure. You gotta close the gaps.
But then you're gonna leave her behind
No.
and take her phone.
I would hold on
you know
to
what?
her
I'm gonna
at
hold your
times.
phone. You hold this loaf.
As we left, it was chaos leaving too. I grabbed her jacket to stay with her.
Wow.
And she said, I like it when you hold on to me like that.
Just scrunching up her jacket.
I was just holding the bottom of her jacket so
Okay.
that we would stay together.
Hey,
you know?
everybody's got to be into something.
And I was like, okay, all right.
Grab my shirt tail.
I'll grab your jacket anytime you want.
Remember there was a cartoon and a group of stuffed animals
Yeah.
called the Shirt Tails.
Jacket grabbers. I
No,
thought
the
it
shirt
was.
tails.
No, the shirt tails.
I think you could get like a little version of a shirt tail at Hardee's.
Jacket grabber sounds like a political term.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, we would have won this district if it weren't for the other
Jacket
party
grabbers.
jacket grabbing everybody.
Oh, I like it when you do that. Though.
They've jack grabbed the whole
Jacket.
the whole
Jacket.
precinct. They've jacket grabbed.
Ayana really likes the word bosom. Maybe it makes me immature, but the word bosom always makes me giggle like a 9-year-old. It makes me picture a giant attack boob bouncing down the street demanding to breastfeed someone.
Wow, that's interesting because to me, bosom is the way to make a breast completely non-sexual.
Maternal. It's the maternalization of the breast.
It's the reason that YouTube
It's 2 loaves in that point.
won't take down a breastfeeding video, but will take down a topless video because a breastfeeding video is about the bosom. It's just it's a breast as a bosom. It's the functional breast.
Yep.
And then if you're just doing topless, oh, this is a sexual thing, right? I think that's their distinction. Bosom.
It's a good word because it has a Z sound in it, but it has no Z within it.
Those are some of the best words.
Bosom.
Bosom.
Yeah, name some other ones.
Rose.
Oh crap, you did it. What
Flonase.
about Cezanne?
Cezanne. Abraham had a bosom. So
He
it's
did.
a biblical word.
I think but that's like a place.
Yeah.
It's a conceptual place of what?
But no, it's a conceptual place.
Before you go to heaven? I
It's
can't
like,
remember.
I don't know. It's like a purgatory thing. But the Mormons also have a burning in the
in
bosom.
their bosom, yes.
So
It's
again,
an antiquated term.
I'm not speaking for all people, all the Latter-day Saints here. I'm just saying in my experience.
It's not just boobs, it's for them it's like it's just an inner
It's in your gut.
no, it's kind of like a gut instinct.
And so if you challenge a person of that particular faith on the grounds of their faith and you say, hey, here's evidence X, Y, and Z of why I don't think that what you believe is true, they may respond in some scenarios as, well, I know it to be true, I have it burning in my bosom. In the same way that like an evangelical Christian might say, well, I have a confirmation of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
You know, so
I prefer
it's very
fixating on the boobs in a maternal way though.
Right, I'm just saying it's
But
so
yes.
non-boob.
So
It's
non-boob.
become religious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like bosom. It doesn't feel like an attack.
I mean, there
boob.
was a show on actual American television
Bosom
called
Buddies.
Bosom Buddies.
Tom Hanks, right?
Tom Hanks and the other guy starred in Bosom Buddies.
Who was the other guy?
What does that mean? I mean, what's a bosom buddy? That's somebody who's
Peter Scolari?
Peter Scolari. So you're tight. They are really tight. You know, bosom buddies.
We're bosom buddies,
I
right?
just don't know. Are we missing?
Is it two non-related kids who both suckled on the same pair of breasts?
A bosom is a noun, a woman's chest, and as an adjective,
I think that's what it means.
it's describing a friend as close or intimate.
Right, but do you think
Bosom friends?
Do you think the reason it is because it's like how much closer than can you get than two people suckling each on two different breasts of the same woman?
Oh,
So in other words,
me and you.
if we went back in time to a time when we were of breastfeeding age,
Yep.
and
We had a
was
wet nurse.
a wet nurse that served both families.
Yes.
And there was a moment in which you were on one breast, probably the left one, and I was on the right breast, Rhett and Link.
Yeah.
That would bond us for life. If you breastfeed together, the family that breastfeeds together stays together.
Mm-hmm. Bosom brothers.
And so I kind of feel like,
I think that's really sweet.
how can we bring that into practice? Not in a literal way. I'm sure there would be volunteers, but
Because the literary term, if you want to go literary, is the loving care, protection of.
how can we bring this idea of the two of us
Mm-hmm.
sucking on the breast of one woman
Yeah.
without actually doing it? I'm not proposing it, okay?
Yeah.
How do we bring that concept to life? Because I feel like it would
it.
make us closer.
I think we're talking about a logo. I think we're in logo territory. You know?
Mid-Journey?
Yeah, let's put that over on the AI and see what they can come up
I don't
with.
know if Mid-Journey will do boobs.
Bosoms.
Yeah, if we keep it bosom,
Bosom.
please make, I don't know how to do Mid-Journey prompts, but we can talk to Paisley about it.
Well, we can say something like Rhett and Link suckling on the teats of YouTube's bosom.
Oh, that feels too
Icky.
Yeah.
Are you getting the ick?
I don't like that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, we don't
It's
need
true,
YouTube's
though.
bosom.
It's true. It's sad. It's true.
I wanted a positive thing here. I wanted for two middle-aged men to
Smushy.
be able to recreate.
It's loaf-like.
The
I mean, there's a
concept.
connection here.
How about just two guys sucking on one loaf?
Loaf-sucking buddies.
But that
Let's
loaf
just do that.
looks very much like a teat in
set.
this scenario. A set
A
of
rig of
teats. Yeah, a rig of teats
Right.
that are very loaf-like, and we are suckling on both of them.
Yep.
Two men at the bosom.
Because it's just a bosom.
It's a bosom. Yeah.
Bosom.
Bosom.
Buzz. Buzz. Give it a nice little buzz.
It is a good word. The more we say
That's
it.
a good buzz. I mean, word. That's a good word.
Yeah.
That may be my favorite word.
Yeah. Bosom is winning right now.
Yep. Can this take the cake?
Hey, this is Gage calling from Asheville, North Carolina.
All right.
My favorite word is fartlek. Apparently it's a word that runners use. I just like it because it sounds like somebody's licking a fart.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite word. Thank you guys, love y'all.
Fartlick.
Define.
It's interesting that he likes it because it sounds like someone licking a fart.
On Dispatches from Myrtle Beach, my dad will give me words that sound nasty but then aren't.
Oh.
Like, it's not dirty. I can't remember what he calls the segment, but I think he talked about this. Oh yeah, fartlek. Fartlek. Pronounced fartlek. Swedish origin means speed play. Speed play.
Alternate periods of fast and easy running. So basically we're talking interval training, right?
Run hard for 1 minute, slow for 1 minute type of a thing. That's a fart lick. I'm running the fart lick. I'm licking the fart run.
Fartlick. It's a Swedish origin, so
Yeah.
it's just by chance it became that fart got in there. Sometimes you'll slip a proverbial fart into a word if you're doing.
Scandinavian countries, they really like to put some farts
Well,
in
but
there.
that's one of the things that happens with brands a lot of times. It's like, oh, do you know what Coke means in Japan?
Oh, the opposite.
Yeah, they have to really account for those things.
I think this one might have promise.
Hi, Rhett and Link. I just wanted to call in and tell y'all that my funny word is cattywampus.
Yes. And that was short and sweet.
You use this.
I agree with that. A little bit of cattywampus is bass backwards, but more palatable. Cattywampus
Is that when you're going
like,
crazy?
It's not. No, cattywampus it's just off kilter, just a little bit. You're just a little bit cattywampus, but if you're bass backwards,
that's completely off.
Yeah, that's completely backwards.
So if you're
ass backwards said ass backwards.
A construction
That's
term.
fine.
Construction term.
Look, yeah, it's like
your joist is a little cattywampus.
if you're trying to plumb a line, you don't want it to be cattywampus. Cattywampus. I mean, that is nice. And then the way that at least we're spelling it, Cttywampus. I mean, if you just take a wampus definitely sounds like a rideable creature in the Star Wars universe. But then you put catty in front of it, and then it's totally something different.
What makes a wampus catty? Like is wampus? It would have been right.
Oh,
but you made it catty.
Oh, yeah. It's
how did
is
this
this
word happen?
honey? Is this frame
Wampus.
straight enough to your liking?
It's wampus.
Is it wampus?
No, it's cattywampus.
I think that's it. Like let's see if we can define wampus.
I don't know if that's how these things work.
Wampus.
But I certainly hope so. A wampus cat is a cat-like creature in American folklore. Okay, see, we're click on that.
No, but look, dictionary.com. Plural is wampuses. A strange or objectionable person.
Is a wampus? So it's bad. So wampus is bad. And it's based on a wampus cat?
Yeah, so
and then people just added catty. Cattywampus. What was it? Or wampus cat, cattywampus. Catawampus is not cattywampus, it's catawampus. It's C-A-T-A.
What?
In the Cambridge English Dictionary. Again, here we are. We're at
what about snollygoster?
A diversion.
An unprincipled but shrewd person. Okay, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Catawampus. So we were spelling it wrong.
Going badly, awkwardly, or in this.
Well, hold on. Also cattywampus in the U.S.
So so this is we got a local version of this.
So
and again,
the UK
it's just
version.
Catawampus.
Catawampus. And then the U.S. version.
Catawampus.
Oh
no,
cattywampus. They just said catawampus again instead of saying cattywampus.
A cattywampus is like an approachable clusterfuck.
Yeah, based on these definitions,
if it stays in cattywampus too long, you might be getting into a cluster.
I feel like off kilter is a better way to describe what you were describing, whereas cattywampus is
it's not just physical.
It's anymore. A mild clusterfuck, like you were saying.
But it can apply to anything that's going sideways. Cattywampus. I like it because it's taking something negative and it's making it fun to say. Like there's a redeeming quality of like, at least I get to say cattywampus, even though it now means that I have to put 3 more holes in my wall.
Yeah, it can only be so bad if it's things have gone cattywampus. If you're still using terms like cattywampus or cattywampus, there's still some sunshine on your face. You know what I mean?
There's still some sunshine on your face.
Still some sunshine on your face.
That's right. I don't know where this is gonna take us, but let's go.
Hey, Rhett and Link. This is Brandy from Wisconsin. I want you all to hear my favorite word. It is legume. I like how it rolls off the tongue. Legume. I hope you like it too. Thanks for everything you do.
Legume.
Well, it does.
Legume.
It does.
Goom.
It does make
Legume.
beans feel even more sophisticated.
I know you like that. But just feel it rolling off your tongue because
Legume.
there is something to the like starting with the L, like the way you put your tongue up and then you slingshot your tongue out. Le.
It's fun.
Like
legume.
le is a good start to any word.
It's easy to say legume.
Le.
Legume.
And then you put the L with a le. Legume. And then once you get past the g, which can be troublesome, then you're with a ooh. So it's almost like you're pleasantly surprised with how this feels.
And don't underestimate the M ending a word on a closed. Now see, now you're doing
legume.
Yeah, see, like you're adding extra effort that's not actually there.
Legume.
So when you end a
closes
word
down
with
shop.
a closed mouth that
Yeah.
not trying to do a like, all right, there's a legume. It is the perfect way to end a sentence.
Like Florida.
Like how do you know when you legume ends for you?
It breathes.
Florida, you
got to make a call.
You have to make a call. How long am I gonna go? Where are you going? Florida.
Right.
What are you gonna do? I'm gonna pick legumes. I said I put an S on it.
But it's still
legume. I think the plural
still
of
kinda
legumes
closes.
is legume.
I'm gonna pick a legume.
One singular legume.
Legume. But to really get the I like to open. But I don't like to leguma.
Let me just say that the experience that the other people would have around you would be that they don't want you to open your mouth. back up
Legume is a
after you
great
close it.
word. Legume.
But I will say, in criticism, constructive criticism of legume, as much as we've said about it,
yeah,
I can't imagine saying it in a non-clarifying way. When was the last time you used legume that wasn't the following sentence? You know, it's actually a legume. No one's like, I would love the legumes, please.
Right. It's a general term.
You know, a peanut is a legume.
You always get more specific.
You're always clarifying something.
It's not specific enough to be actually utilized.
So I think it's always a little bit annoying to hear it because it's just somebody trying to correct you or give you a piece of information you didn't ask for.
Yeah, that's a problem. Or they're just saying, you want to hear my favorite word?
Legume. Oh, that's nice.
That's the best case scenario, and it's still kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
Misha Peer tweeted, sesquipedalian.
Sesquipedalian.
When I was in third grade, I'm 30 now, we would have a spelling test every week, and every time this was our bonus word to get extra credit. Do I remember what it means? Nope. But I think I'll remember how to spell it for the rest of my life. Sesquipedalian.
You had the same word every single time? That teacher was low effort.
Define. You know, if you just go to Google and put define sesquipedalian, I didn't even spell it right, but what does that mean? What does it mean?
Characterized by long words, long-winded.
Oh, polysyllabic. Polysyllabic, that's another word. It's hard to say. Polysyllabic, long word. Sesquipedalian means long.
And seems
long-winded.
It feels unnecessarily long.
Yeah, because it is.
So it actually is one of those special words that captures the concept in the word itself. Because this word is too long and it's hard to pronounce and it's unnecessary.
I need to go back to a happier place. I think this will do it.
Hi, Rhett and Link. My name's Candace. I'm calling from Canada. So my favorite word is a word that my grandpa used to use. It was nubby tucker. So the word basically was in reference to things that he couldn't remember the name of. So if he was out in the garage and he was working away on something or building something and he couldn't remember the name of the tool or the thing that he needed, he'd say, can you hand me that nubby tucker over there? And it's just been a word that has just kind of, it gives me a little giggle when I think of it. And of course, no one else really understands the word because it was something that my grandpa used. So every once in a while I'll find myself using it and people will look at me funny. So maybe you can integrate that word into your vocabulary. Thanks, guys. I love your show. Bye.
Yes, we may. Nubby Tucker.
Nubby Tucker.
So it's like a whatchamacallit, but with more intrigue.
She had a good voice, by the way.
She had a good voice to leave us a voicemail.
Who was it, Allison? The voice of the Swedish meatballs?
And mashed potatoes? Yeah.
She
Allison.
could do voiceover, like describing things.
Yeah.
Nubby Tucker.
You could describe what is that Nubby Tucker actually called, and then you could say the right name for it.
I like this.
Nubby Tucker.
I don't feel great about taking a word that was so localized that it may only be localized to this
Two
person's
people.
family, and trying to make it my own.
But to me, it implies something so specific that even though I've never heard it before, and I've never heard anyone else use it, I think I know what it means, and it does seem like a tool used to tuck in nubs.
Which would be useful.
Like a pooch pusher. Like that's pooching out, you need to push it in.
So if like a muffin top situation?
Well, yeah, I guess. Or like like
it's like a shoehorn for a muffin top. It's a way to get.
Or if you're just trying to get something into a box, if you're trying to get a bedspread into a box, you know how hard.
Where's my
is.
Nubby Tucker?
I got to get the Nubby Tucker to stuff my bedspread into this box. I got to ship it.
Why don't you just touch it with your hands? Well, because I've got a Nubby Tucker.
Well, if you touch it with your hand, it's going to create another pooch somewhere else. And then you're going to use your other hand.
That's the beauty of the Nubby Tucker.
Nubby Tucker, it takes care of all potential pooches.
Well, it tucks multiple nubs at a time.
Proceeding pooches.
A Nubby Tucker will tuck a nub without creating a new nub, which
Right.
is something your hands can do.
Right. See, we're making so much meaning out of this that
But
now
it
it means something to us that it doesn't mean to you.
But it also sounds like another political term. You know, it's like, well, Senator...
We stationed our Nubby Tuckers throughout the facility.
Senator Morgan would have won in a landslide if it weren't for all the Nubby tucking that went on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Brenna, this is pertinent, and we can end on this tweet. Nerpshy is a word my dad always used for something sticking out or dangling off of something. Like my waffle has a nerpshy on it.
Oh,
so when you find a nerpshy, you got to get the Nubby Tucker.
A nerpshy.
So these people are making up these words that need each other. Isn't that a beautiful thing that we've done today? The Nerpshy family now knows about a Nubby Tucker.
Maybe they can get together and have breakfast.
And then Nubby Tucker now has meaning because Nerpshies exist.
They can tuck some waffle nubs, otherwise known as nerpshies. I don't
Nerpshies and
know. I
Nubby
think
Tuckers.
if I found a nerpshy on my waffle, I wouldn't tuck it. I'd just eat it. I'd tuck it right into my mouth.
My favorite word now is bosom. That's my takeaway. You know, don't use the Nubby Tucker on the bosom. No need.
Well, actually,
no need to Nubby Tucker.
Sometimes, I mean that's kind of what like a push-up bra would be. Like you got to tuck the nubs.
So a Nubby Tucker is a
send them
brassiere, is a bosom bracer.
Or you might have a sports bra is by definition a Nubby Tucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, this is happening.
And also,
I'm here for it.
We didn't talk about this, but Nubby tucking is something that's done when you do drag, right?
Well, I don't call it a nubby, but yeah, there was some tucking involved.
Right. Were you given a tool for that?
No, I wasn't. Right?
Did you wish you had some shoehorn-like thing so you didn't have to touch your own penis?
No, I'm comfortable doing that. But it did tend to pop out in other places.
Oh gosh.
And so I think that's why I needed a Nubby Tucker.
A Nubby Tucker is for the backside.
It's for wherever something might pooch.
Right.
It's like it's the secondary pooching.
I'm just saying, as someone who has done drag, do you feel like maybe you could sell Nubby Tuckers to the drag community? Because I'm just really thinking about a business opportunity here.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just something
the
you
answer
could.
is yes.
It feels like something you could just.
Yes.
It's a tool that already
gather
exists.
around.
You're selling it like on the street corner. Like in the old West? Is that what is
Yeah.
like a snake oil salesman? It's like, oh, today I've got something new.
Yeah, and I will sell it with oil too.
Yeah.
Make the nub tuck more easily.
Yeah, but if you tuck a nub with oil, doesn't it untuck more easily? Don't you want it to get stuck?
Well, my nubby tuckers have a blow dryer feature.
So you have a built-in oil dispenser that then dries.
Yeah, it dries it in place.
This is a really advanced nubby tucker.
Yeah, it's I'm investing a lot of my own personal wealth into
USB. USB powered.
Yeah, it's USB powered.
USB powered nubby tuckers coming soon to you.
All right, if you want one, I guess DM me.
I've got a rec to wrap us up. It's not nubby tuckers from Link.
Wow.
It is. I mentioned him earlier. I think
Billy Strings?
You would do well. No, Lucas Nelson.
Yeah, so with a K.
Willie's son who took the route to sound somewhat like Dad and make incredible music. Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real. And great introduction to his music is the first thing that's gonna pop up on your Spotify, which is Find Yourself.
We recommended that years ago. It's a great song.
Oh, we did?
Oh yeah, it's coming back.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, he's also got a song called Carolina. Did I recommend it or do you recommend it?
Can't remember.
Well, you know what? We can.
Doesn't matter.
This is a double recommendation.
We're bosom buddies, man. We can recommend the same things.
We're getting old. We're coming back around to recommending the same things. I'm telling you, man.
You need evidence.
We're forgetting things, but I'll never forget what a nubby tucker is.
Let us know what you think. Hashtag ear biscuits. Ironically, we made that up. It's not even what it means.
Right. Yeah. We also made up ear biscuits.
And give us a call. You know, if you enjoyed hearing those voicemails, I bet you enjoyed leaving one. Let us know what you think about this. It might show up at the end of an episode or whenever we put out a new prompt. 1-888-EARPOD1.
My name is Harold, and my favorite word is stank. Like it was stanky up in here. They all stank. I feel. Thank you. Have a good one.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.